and welcome to the Arron football channel. Today we are going to be looking at the North London derby that was played over the weekend, of course, between Arsenal and Tottenham. Really good game, finished 2 each. Both sides, played quite well, I thought, and also things that didn't do so well. But we'll look into it and see the players that shone the most, the kind of tactical tweaks that the manager employed, see how that could reflect for them going on into the season. So, let's get right into it. Okay, so here's the starting lineups for both teams. So on paper, it was roughly looking like a 4-3-3. For Arsenal, you'd probably have Zinchenko sort of dropping into these areas, Ben White also dropping in and then coming out wide. Um, Vieira kind of stayed there. Rice obviously stayed there. And Gabriel Jesus was one in particular I wanted to focus on. I thought he was really good in the game. I thought he took his man on constantly, was really good in pressing at that side with the threats of both Porro and Kulusevski. Kind of disrupted Tottenham's rhythm at that side, really. Not really attacking as much. Obviously, the goal came from Saka, cutting in as he usually does onto that left foot and getting a shot off. But I thought Jesus was brilliant at the other side of the game. Kind of disrupting that rhythm that Tottenham had at that side. Kind of pressing Arsenal at the pitch that way. That's kind of how Arsenal were operating really. Not getting into their kind of full stride, but they were pretty competent in their system. Tottenham, they had Papi Sarr here in the middle, dropping back slightly, kind of operating in that role there, and Yibasuna kind of holding the fort there. James Maddison was all over the place. He was, in that kind of left-hand side area as he normally lines up, then coming over here into the middle, over to the right-hand side, try to influence play as best he can in that sort of number 10 position. And then as Tottenham normally employ, Porro and Adobe were coming in, as inside fullbacks, making underlapping runs with the wingers, which worked a few times with the gaps Arsenal had in the midfield, with Odegaard starting to push up into these areas and then Vieira pushing up. It left space for the likes of Adobe and Porro to then exploit that space. But it was quite an evenly matched game, I thought, in general. Like, both teams kind of cancelled each other out in a lot of areas, and it just took kind of moments of real error or a real stroke of luck to get people in the game, and obviously to get the goals. That was kind of the base lineups, I thought. In fact, I'll say this. First video I done when I said Ramsdale, we'll just keep him in the lineup just to do the breakdown in that first video. Right, I came in immediately after and has stayed there ever since. He was quite good, Raya, to be honest, coming out for crosses and things, and his positioning and goal and things look pretty competent in his distribution as well. So I can't really have many complaints as of yet, but we'll need to see how that battle with Ramsdale goes. So as we can see here, this is the momentum bar from the game. We'll use this to go through the key moments within that. As we can see from the bottom half side, which is Tottenham's side, Tottenham had a lot of momentum at the start of the game. They were kind of just keeping possession in their own half, kind of pop it about, trying to get some control in the game. And then it kind of evened and flowed between the two teams, kind of trying to progress up the pitch each time. Arsenal then get quite a lot of control in the game and had a lot of chances. I think Jesus had one at the back post. I think Saka might have had another opportunity as well. So they were kind of growing in the game, and I think a goal was coming at that stage, in which it did from the own goal from Saka's shot coming off Christian Romero. So Arsenal were kind of looking quite good at that point, and even after the goal had some opportunities as well. I think there was a point where James Maddison had it on the edge of the box and Jesus had came in, took it off him, and really should have done a lot better and kept more composed and slotted that in, but placed it over the bar, unfortunately. So yeah, it stayed 1-0, and it looked like Arsenal were going to go in at the break at 1-0, but Tottenham started to threaten a lot more. They had the chance with Brennan Johnson that David Raya saved. Great save, to be fair to him. But after that, the barrage of Spurs attacks kept coming in, and yeah, ended up in the goal with work on the left hand side from James Maddison. At that goal, I think Ben White, as the right back, should have pressed James Madison once he got past Bukayo Saka. Bukayo Saka had obviously let him go quite easily, but Ben White should have been just a couple of yards ahead, and pressed that space in, and the ball might have not came across to Son, who came in between two defenders and slided the ball into the corner of the net to have it 1-1 going into the break. It was quite a fast-paced start. At the second half, Arsenal kind of came out, as you can see here, straight out the traps, and then got the goal through the penalty. I think it was a penalty. Romero, it's unlucky, of course. He's obviously just trying to make a block, and his hands is up there when he's trying to go down and block it. But it is slightly unnatural, and looks to have the ball strike it very cleanly. And if the ball doesn't hit his hand, it's going in to the net. So I think definitely it's a penalty decision that was rightly given. So yeah, that back in at 2-1. Then Jorginho, who had came on for Declan Rice, who looks to have suffered an injury, makes a horrific mistake in the middle of the park. I was perplexed, and just I was not very happy, put it that way. When he gave the ball away, easy pass in for Maddison to slide in Son to make it 2 each. And after that, Arsenal kind of went out the game for a long stage. Nobody really kind of made any clear cut chances or anything for the remainder of the game. As you can see from the momentum bar, Tottenham kind of started to come into it a wee bit more after that, but just nothing really. They kind of cancelled themselves out, as I was saying earlier. And then maybe the last 10-15 minutes when Maddison and Son came off, as we can see from the momentum bar, this is when Arsenal had, I think, a period of around 6 or 7 corners, just totally hammered the Spurs box, trying to get something in, but nothing doing on the day. So yeah, that was kind of the even flow of the game between the two sides. But yeah, as I said, sort of evenly matched and shown in the scoreline at the end of that. Okay, this is the average positions from the game as well. So from Arsenal's side, we kind of see what we normally see from the back four. So Ben White kind of operating on that side and just running that channel. Sleever just saying there, keeping everything tight there. Gabriel slightly pushing up as he does to progress the ball. Just doing what he normally does. Zinchenko slightly different, not cutting in too much into the middle where Declan Rice was operating here. Just on that left-hand side, I think that was because of the overloads Tottenham were providing with Kulusevski, Porro, and then Sarr would have been at that side for Tottenham. So I think he was probably asked to kind of just stick to that side and drop into the middle often and try and gain control there, but also to provide cover to the defensively inept Vieira, who had a very quiet game, as you can see from his heat map here. Didn't really contribute too much, in attacking areas and defensive areas as well. Saka was the same, slightly deeper than I thought it would be, but I think that was also to provide cover when Adoge was doing that on that side, doing the underlapping runs as well. So yeah, still had a really good game and tested Adoge really well, and obviously that's where the goal came from, as we touched on. Odegaard, I think it was quite quiet, to be honest. I think, he was just kind of operating in that right hand side, but never really properly got into the game. I don't think really influenced it too much. Jesus, as we were saying, as you can see from his heat map here, just ran that left channel for the entire duration in which he was on the pitch for. He totally ran Tottenham riot, to be honest, on that side. So, yeah, thought he had a really promising game and was one of Arsenal's better players. And Nketiah here, again, not really many touches at all in the game and not really impacting as much. A very disappointing display from him, to be honest. I thought he would have tried to get in the box and try and get in attacking areas that wee bit more often, but unfortunately that wasn't the case on the day. So with Tottenham's average positions here, we've of course got the two centre backs, Van de Ven and Romero, kind of just operating, in that two there. Adoge, kind of operating in that space, and there's leaving a lot of space in this sort of area here. As you can see, he's been pushed right back by Saka there. But yeah, they left a lot of space in this area, which I believe Arsenal exploited in the first half. Really well, just not so much in the second half, unfortunately. So yeah, Basuma was immense in the game. I would probably say, apart from James Maddison and Son and Saka, I think of Arsenal. He was right up there with some of the best players of the game. Just totally broke up so many bits of play. It was completely press proof as well. Like no one could get a touch on him when he was on the ball. So yeah, really competent display from Basuma. Yeah, I think Tottenham have really found someone. I mean, signed him was that a year ago, a couple of years ago. But he's really coming to his own now in the Sands system. So yeah, looked really well, and with what was a good test for us in Arsenal. Porro, yeah, just on that right hand side, but will of course come inside as we were saying with the underlapping runs. Sar mainly operated on this side as well. So yeah, I think just kind of covering those spaces, but was slightly more advanced than Basuma, and also had a pretty competent game as well. And then it looks to me here, it's looks average position wise like a 4-2-3-1 with James Maddison operating in the 10 role, which he did very well. Obviously created two of the goals, and was pressing that Arsenal deeper line really well. Brennan Johnson as well was quite quiet. Had a couple of moments, obviously had a chance as well in the first half, but yeah, was reasonably quiet in his first North London derby. Kulusevski was very much involved. I think got on the ball quite a lot for Tottenham in those areas. Excuse me. And yeah, was quite impactful in the game and that side as well. And of course, Son here was quite quiet, but when it mattered, he popped up in the right positions and put the ball in the back of the net for him. So yeah, overall for Tottenham, Basuma was just everywhere in that central part of the pitch and was so influential on the day. And to be honest, probably my player of the match. I think obviously James Maddison was excellent. Saka and Son, as we touched on, who contributed in the goals as well. But Basuma just totally disrupted Arsenal's play in those areas and really got that Tottenham side in a good position and got the draw in the end. So what does this mean for the season going forward? Well, for Arsenal, I don't think you can really take too much from the game. They had a couple of injuries in Martinelli and Trossard and wide areas, which left them quite spare going forward in those areas. Declan Rice coming off at half time, bit of a blow. That really disrupted Arsenal in the midfield and allowed Tottenham to dominate, especially for at least about 20-25 minutes in that area. So we need to see how long he'll be out for as well. So those injuries are certainly mounting up now for Arsenal, but that's what you need to do in the summer is try and recruit and cover those areas, and looking quite spare, unfortunately, in some areas now. Maybe one glaring thing is I think in the centre forward position they're looking quite sparse with someone that can bully defenders and be that aerial target man. I know I'd highlighted Kai Havertz in that role, but you need someone in that number 9 to be in that box, most of the time. Or if you're not going to play them most of the game, bring them on when Arsenal were dominating that last 15 minutes, chuck balls into the box, and it's someone that can get on the end of them or disrupt, the Spurs opposition play, the Spurs players, and get them to focus on somebody else rather than having like an Nketiah in there who's not really going to get in amongst it. You can cause opportunities that way. So yeah, that's maybe one thing from Arsenal's side, but I wouldn't take too much for it. I think they played quite well for quite a lot of the game, but were cancelled out by a great Tottenham side on the day who looked really good and can show that they can compete. With the bigger teams. They dismantled Man United earlier on in the season, and I'm sure we'll be able to compete against the likes of like Liverpool and Man City and things when those games come around. So yeah, impressive from both teams. One thing on Tottenham, I think, when James Maddison came off, you know, they lost that creative spark in the midfield, and they've not really got anyone else to come on in that position to influence the game that way. And it showed when James Maddison came off, Arsenal took control of the game and then had so many opportunities for crosses and things, and were pounding the Spurs box. So that's one thing. If Madison, is out for whatever period of time, then Spurs might struggle creatively in forward areas. So that's one thing. But that Tottenham XI is looking really good, and yeah, I think in the midfield with Basuma and Sarr, they're forming quite a good partnership, and the back four looks pretty set as well. So yeah, should be a good season for Spurs, to be honest. But let's hope Arsenal finish above them. But yeah, thanks again for watching, and if you haven't done so already, if you could subscribe to the channel, maybe give a wee like to the video as well, kind of puts it out there a wee bit more and helps me out a lot. And yeah, if you want to see similar content like this, or if you have any other suggestions, then please let me know. We can try and build this up as best we can. All right, cheers, bye bye.